All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? We are doing this a day early. We're doing this a little bit earlier, 11 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday. Got some stuff to do this weekend. But hey, we're here. The nice thing about MMA, unlike NBA, you can talk about this on Monday or Tuesday. Granted, a fight might fall off. Yeah, that's kind of what we expect nowadays. But that's why you should get over to shippingnation.com. Even when all the fights, if fights are get canceled, this or that, updated ownership. Of course, the slate plan, the stone, the fight rankings, tier rankings, everything is updated all the way to the start of the fights. 13 fights this weekend in Washington, so I'm excited for that. 9 of the 13 expected to finish. And yeah, I'm looking at Big Marley's fight rankings. I see a lot of 4 stars, a couple 5 stars. I'm expecting a solid card. Excited for this one. How are you doing, Big Marley?
Yeah, I'm good. I might move 1 or 2 of those 2 stars down to a 1 star if you could talk me into it during the show. But yeah, I like the 5 stars a lot this week. I'm doing pretty good. I think this is a solid card. Another one where I'm hoping the main event soaks up a lot of ownership because I'm okay getting away from it. But looking forward to talking it out with you.
Yeah, no, I'm in total agreement right there. Let me just quick refresh. So we didn't have Chiesa Nico pricing until this morning. And, it didn't hasn't gone through yet. But yeah, I put 9,500, 6,700 with a couple question marks. And it is indeed that. The reason I could guess that is he's a really big favorite as Chiesa. We had a 9,600 Thainara. We had a 9,400 Stirling and no one in between there. So DraftKings tends to try and have no one priced the same if they're able to. So it just made a lot of sense. And it is confirmed 9,500 and 6,700. Yeah, still hasn't gone through. Yeah, I mean, my broad slate too is I think the upper tier is pretty tough. A lot of plays look pretty similar in my opinion. So I do think you're able to leave money in the upper tier. Mid tier, main event, minus 175 to finish. And it's actually, I believe, minus 190 now. We'll go through it all. 1 mid tier fight expected to finish. Mansur expected to finish right in the mid tier. Fortune Tybura expected to finish. And then, yeah, Fernandes, Casey O'Neill not expected to finish. But 3 of the 4 mid tier fights expected to finish. 9 of the 13 total fights expected to finish. And I do agree. It's an Israel Adesanya fight. What that means is you can fade it. If he wins, it can easily be by decision, just striking and bust that way. So I do agree. We'll get there when we talk main event, but I definitely will have some fight fades in the main event. Anything, we got Derek in here. Hey, great to see you, Derek. Hope everything's going well. Miss you on the NFL shows. Joey saying what's up to Big Marley. And then Big back, what's going on? I don't know exactly what you're saying, but hey, I like your picture for sure. Any broad slate for you before we go?
Yeah, I feel like lately we've been kind of avoiding the mid-range, and this is a week I want to really target the mid-range, and I'm okay leaving salary to get down from the upper range and target that mid-range instead. Lots of fights that can go either way, so I'm fine with both sides of them too. So we'll talk about it as we go along, but I think the mid-range is important this week.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Definitely think you can leave some money on the table this week. Let's start it off the first fight of the night. Alexia, Thainara, biggest favorite, highest price on the card at minus 750, taking on Bruna, Brasil. Plus 550, plus 155 for this fight to finish. Thainara plus 160 inside the distance. Brasil plus 1050. So Thainara opened up minus 350, now minus 750. Some of the biggest line movement on this card. And this actually is a rematch. You see the 13-1 record from Thainara. Her one loss was to Bruna, Brasil years ago by submission. But yeah, as you can see, Thainara hasn't lost since. It's Thainara pass for me, but 9,600 is a big price tag with a lot of other upside fighters that are cheaper. So I'm curious to hear your take on Thainara. Brasil's an easy cross-off for me.
Yeah, this is one that I started with a 1 star because I'm just not interested in targeting either side. Bruna Brasil is actually the only girl who's ever beat Thainara. But man, that's not the same Thainara. All she was doing is like just walking forward with her hands down and throwing big loopy shots at her. Really, she looked like she had no idea what she was doing out there. And Brasil kind of looks like the same fighter she did back then. She hasn't improved a ton, but Thainara has. I don't know that she's improved enough to warrant like a 90% implied probability. But for me, it is going to be her or pass because she can put up scores on DraftKings. She could put up 110 here, but 9,600 is always in that range where I'm kind of priced out of. I like 9,500 and less. So I think it could be a 1-star to me. I'll go and I'll start building lineups. And if I get no Thainara, I'm going to move it down to a 1-star. But I'm also not super interested in that 9K range this week where I'm fine getting her over really any of them up there. So I'm not going to mark her off, but I'm also not going to force her into any lineups. Brasil will be a mark off for me. Even if she does find a way to win this fight, she's going to struggle to score 10x. So I'm just not interested in that. I'll look to other underdogs instead.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. The 9K range, I guess, isn't the strongest, but what range I do love is, let's see, Douglas at 9K, McKinney 8,700, Chase Hooper 8,900. Like you can go a Thainara lineup and drop to them, and I mean you're not giving up any upside at the end of the day. Maybe you would upgrade some other spot, but I do agree. Like Chiesa, Bahamondes, Stirling. Like I wouldn't be Thainara can outscore any of them. I'm keeping her in the pool. The thing is, she's a primary wrestler. I do believe when you're 13-1, your only loss is to someone you're fighting this week. I mean, you have a chip on your shoulder. You don't forget that fight. It's the easiest path for Thainara is just to take her down. And I do think she does so. She scored over 100 in both of her UFC wins thus far. One was a decision when she went 5 for 11 on takedowns for 10 minutes of control, only 44 significant strikes and scored 103 DK points against Loma. I think Loma is better than Brasil. Can Brasil get up is the question, but you almost want this fight to go to decision. In my opinion, like she has 6+ takedown upside if Brasil can get up. And I think she does have 120 plus in her bag. If that's the case, like I'm going to keep her in the pool at 9,600. But man, it's one of those fights. We talk about it a lot. The really high price fighters, if I had 10% of her, I'm fine with it if I like everything else. If I had 40% of her, I'd be fine with that as well. Now, I don't see myself having 40% on this card, but taking a lot of money, a wrestler, I don't think Brasil's very good. A fight that you almost want to go the distance. Yeah, I think it'd be a mistake Xing out Thainara, but again, at her price tag, if you don't really get much, just hold your nose, hope she gets 100. 100 is probably not good enough on this card, but yeah, I'm going to get some, and I do think ownership stays in check due to her price tag and other people just going to that more 9K, upper 8K range like we talked about. We'll keep it rolling. Next fight on the card. This one's a good one. Clash of Styles. Ricky Simón -140. Adrian Yanez +120. +140 for this fight to finish. The underdog in Yanez +235. The underdog in Yanez +235 inside the distance. Simón +400. So this line completely flipped. We had Yanez open up the favorite at -155. And now Simón's the favorite at -140. It happened pretty quickly. I agree with it just in the sense of usually close fights, the wrestler's the favorite. You just have more paths to win when you can wrestle. It's clearly the stone shows it. Simón wants to get the fight to the mat. 4.66 takedowns per 15. Yanez wants to keep it on the feet. 6.23 takedown, or excuse me, 0 takedown, 6.23 significant strikes per minute. Everything else looks really similar. Pretty much the same age, pretty much the same height, pretty much the same reach. At this point in their career, do you think Simón can get takedowns, or do you think Yanez stuffs them and pieces them up on the feet?
I'm going to be on the Yanez side of this one. I think Simón probably does get a couple of takedowns, but I just don't think he controls the fight long enough on the ground, and I don't think he's as heavy-paced of a wrestler as he used to be like 5 years ago when he would go out there and get 6-7 takedowns in fights. He did recently against Cameron Smotherman, but that's Cameron Smotherman. I just think he's like more bottom of the barrel guys, and Simón had an easy way out. Let's not take any damage here. But now if he's not stuffing takedowns, if he is looking to strike more than wrestle, I think that's going to be a bad recipe for him in this matchup because Yanez has the better hands. He's going to be the faster striker. Maybe he doesn't have as much one-shot power, but the angles that he throws that are going to match are going to equal that because he could just knock out Simón with something he doesn't see coming. So I picked Yanez to win this fight. I think it should be a pick 'em fight. And Simone, I think he's more on the downslope of his career, where Yanez, he's taken some losses, but I don't think he's really fallen off. I would say the biggest worry in this fight for me is that Yanez, his resume, not very good. Simone has fought really the who's who of the division. And now this fight is in Seattle, where Ricky Simone is from. So I'm more worried about that stuff than I am him going out and putting on the wrestling shoes and putting up like 7 takedowns in this fight. So preferred play is the underdog, but anytime Simone does win on DraftKings, he could put up a decent score. So I'm interested in his side as well, just not as much.
Yeah, I'm going to play this fight because it has to be relatively low owned, just because like Simone, Izzy's 100 less, obviously going to be higher owned. Terrance McKinney's 100 more, obviously going to be higher owned. So, and rightfully so. So he's in a range that has to be squeezed to an extent, and he always has 6+ takedown upside. We haven't really seen it as of late, but Yanez hasn't really been tested in the wrestling department. So anytime someone averages 4.66 takedowns, it's going to be relatively low owned at 8,600. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to play some because he does have 100+ upside clearly. And Yanez looks like a really strong play. A phenomenal money line for his price at 7,600. Throws a lot of volume. If Simone can't get takedowns, like he's plus 225 or plus 235 to finish. That's really good. I do think he probably is higher owned than Simone when it's all said and done, or at least close. But his ownership has to be in check because Joe Pyfer, main event, 100 more, clearly going to get more ownership. I do think Casey O'Neill for 200 more, people have interest in. Then it's Tybura fight, people have interest in. 100 less than Yanez is Kyle Nelson. Clearly that fight's phenomenal because it's a Terrance McKinney fight. So this fight's kind of just squeezed in between the main event and McKinney fight, where they have to stay in check to an extent. I think, again, more so probably the Simone side, since people will see plus 124 and a good inside the distance prop for Yanez. But a clash of styles, both guys can get there at their price. I think it's pretty clear. Simone gets there through wrestling. Yanez just at 7,600. Even if he scores 82, I mean, if dogs don't win on this card, 82 can be enough. So, yeah, this is a fight I'm going to be targeting to get different in some chalkier teams. Let's keep it rolling. Next fight on the card, the second biggest favorites. Yeah, currently the second biggest favorite, Navajo Stirling, minus 650. Taking on Bruno Lopes, plus 475. Minus 400 for this fight to finish. Stirling, minus 275 inside the distance. Lopes, plus 600. Stirling, round 1, plus 160. So he has the best inside the distance prop on the slate at minus 275. However, all three of his UFC fights have gone the distance. This is telling me, seeing minus 275 inside the distance is telling me it's more of a bet against Bruno Lopes, that he's just no good. Stirling, round 1, you obviously take it. Now, it's not guaranteed to be optimal. My question for you more so is, if it gets out around 1, how likely is he to be optimal, since he is only plus 160 to finish in round 1? How do you see him versus Chiesa, him versus Thainara?
Yeah, I'm not that interested in him unless he gets that early knockout, because he's not a real high-paced striker. He is a good striker. He's got a lot of potential to be really good in this division, and he looks like he would have one-shot knockout power, but he just hasn't been knocking people out so far in the UFC. And he has he's wrestled some, and in his big score, he wrestled some in that fight. But in this fight, it should be Lopes who's looking to wrestle. That's really his only chance. I think he's a big guy. He could land one shot and knock Stirling out, but he can't beat Stirling over 15 minutes on the feet. He's going to have to mix in the wrestling. He's not very good, and I think he is going to get knocked out at some point in this fight. But if Lopes can wrestle in the first round, and then it's all Stirling from there, it's probably too late for him at $9,400. So I am interested in Stirling, but just as much as I am Thainara, I think she has the higher ceiling, but he has the first round knockout upside, where you're getting the 90, you're getting the 10 points for the knockdown, and then if you're lucky, you might get 2 knockdowns in there. And then on the other end, I'm not interested in Lopes, but if I'm going to roster anybody in the 6K range with a hand-built lineup, I would prefer it to be him. I'm just going to try to avoid all those 6K people, though.
I'm definitely avoiding that 6K range. It's really hard for me to click Lopes. Price, Lopes, Brasil, I'm tossing them. And yeah, I mean, if it beats me, it beats me. If I had to pick one, though, I think I think you're probably right. I think I probably would just go Bruno Lopes in this spot. Hope he wrestles. Solid inside the distance prop, but I don't need to mess with any of it. Yeah, it's close. Stirling versus Chiesa versus Thainara. Like Chiesa wrestling upside, Thainara wrestling upside, Stirling not wrestling upside. Stirling probably the highest zone just because his inside the distance prop and his price. So I think that has him. I don't know. I think I might like him more than Chiesa. I'm not sure, but I think I like Thainara more just because, man, like she does have 6+ takedown upside, control time, maybe a late finish. Like you almost want that fight to go the distance or at least farther as well. So yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a mistake to X out really too many people in the upper tier this week. Like don't play a -275 inside the distance, a +160 round one. But I am thinking if you can build a Stirling lineup and then drop down to Douglas or McKinney or Chase Hooper, and you have just as much upside there while leaving money. So that is more of my plan to not avoid, but limit my exposure in the way upper tier. And Stirling does fall on that list. I'll just more than likely be underweight and hoping that he does not get a knockout in round 1, and then round 2, round 3, it's probably not enough unless it's coming with a lot of knockdowns. All right, we'll keep it rolling. Again, appreciate everyone hanging out. All we ask, the like button and subscribe button helps us out a ton. Again, 13 fights in Washington this week. Very pumped. Some March Madness, some NBA, some NASCAR, some MLB starting tomorrow. Let me pull this up real quick because it is a great time to get over to shippingnation.com. Again, PGA, there's a show going on right now. Great prizes as always. Masters coming up pretty soon. NBA still going, and then we'll have playoff coverage. MLB starts tomorrow. It actually starts tonight. There's a showdown game. But tomorrow, me, G, Ryzen, and Nades will be talking some MLB. You can see all of our content here. Of course, MMA, NASCAR, and NHL. So this is one of the best times of the year. When there's not football, this is where you want for all of the content with so many sports going on. If you do want to join, you can see bottom left, join the nation, and multiple different options. For the day, $9 gets you everything but the Discord. I think the better deal. If you want to try all these sports, 5 days for $19. That'll take you so you can get all 6 of these sports going on right now. You get SaberSim. You get access to the Discord for, $19. Cannot go wrong with that. If you are just looking for MMA content, though, obviously it's a year-long sport. Single sport, MMA can get in as low as $17 a month if you want to be with us for the year. $29 monthly if you want to add SaberSim. You can check that out as well. All of the pricing is listed there. But yeah, I think single sport MMA. Otherwise, if you're interested in all these other sports, I would definitely check out the 5 days for $19 package. Really pumped for this weekend. A lot going on in the DFS landscape. All right, next fight on the card, another one of the 4 fights expected to go the distance. And yeah, some line movement in this one. Casey O'Neill -116, Gabriella Fernandes -104, +155 for this fight to finish. Fernandes +250 inside the distance, O'Neill +450. So you can see I put this odds up on Monday. Fernandes was -135 on Monday. Now she's the dog, and Casey O'Neill's -116. So how did this line start? March 16th when it opened, it was -130 Fernandes. A couple days later, +105 Fernandes. A couple days later after that, actually just hours later, pick them at -110. A couple days later, +110 Fernandes. Days later, -135 Fernandes. And now it's -104. So, I mean, it just went back and forth. Who's the favorites? I'm expecting it to close probably pretty close to a pick 'em. Casey O'Neill's been off about for a year and a half, which is, I think, the reason that she has been the dog at times. I was surprised at first seeing Casey O'Neill as the underdog. I mean, she has to be the minute winner, you'd think, with the volume she throws, possible wrestling upside. But yeah, it's Casey O'Neill as my preferred side, but I do think that is where ownership goes. I'm excited to hear your take on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a good fight because it is right there in the mid-range. I agree. O'Neill is going to be our higher-paced fighter. She's going to have the higher work rate in this one, whether that be on the feet or the wrestling. But she should look to wrestle in this matchup because Fernandes is going to be the better overall striker, and she's got all the finish equity as well. Fernandes can knock out O'Neill. O'Neill's hittable. and Fernandes has power. She's going to be the stronger fighter too. I'd also give Fernandes the submission grappling edge too. If there's going to be a submission, it's probably her. So O'Neal just has to outwork her for 3 rounds or at least 2 rounds. But when she wins, she scores. In her last one, it wasn't a great score, but she was scoring over 100 in her first 4 fights. And in this matchup where her biggest edge would be Fernandes being on her back, I think she's got a chance at putting up decent points, because if she gets a takedown, she's not going to sit there in top control. She's going to be throwing a lot of strikes on the ground. So O'Neal is my preferred play. I think that ownership will start shifting from Fernandes to O'Neal as the line moves more. But that also puts Fernandes in play for me as well. If she's going to be overlooked, then I think she is in play. She could get a first-round finish here at like no ownership if she's going to be the underdog going into the fight.
I mean, even if she's not the underdog, and it was minus 125, plus 105 Fernandes, I still think Casey O'Neal is going to be a good bit higher owned. I still don't think Fernandes is going to be played. Again, I talked about it with Ricky Simone, but 100 more than Fernandes, Israel Adesanya. 100 less, Tyrell Fortune. Like, those are fights that people are going to go to way more. What brings me on Fernandes a little bit, and why I don't think you should X out, is she's plus 250 to finish. I mean, the inside the distance prop alone, open plus 285. That's going to be more, she's more likely to win by finish than what her ownership is showing. So when that's the case, I have some interest, but man, like, Casey O'Neal has to be a play. Like 7,800, 7.89 significant strikes per minute, 1.45 takedowns per 15. How much do you think she wrestles in this one?
I'd give her like an over 2.5 takedown.
Yeah. And that's pretty good, because on the feet, like, I'm worried Fernandes is more powerful. Like, I'm worried how this fight busts. And I mean, it clearly can. It's plus 155 to finish, but that Casey's a little hesitant. Again, she's been off for 1.5 years, that she's not trying to go into a brawl because Fernandes has more power. Like, I do think Fernandes has knockout power in this one. She's plus 400 by KO, which is pretty good. Fernandes almost needs a finish at 8,400 though, whereas Casey O'Neal can get there in a decision. So Casey is my preferred play, even though she is chalkier. But I mean, if she gets like minus 130 range, there is a chance she becomes over-owned, and maybe just fading this fight in general is the move, hoping Fernandes kind of keeps it on the feet. If she wins a decision, it busts. If Casey wins a decision but can't wrestle, it busts. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on line movement. If Casey gets like approaching the 30% range, then I think this fight would be over-owned. And then it would be similar to the Shamrock El Sawadi fight last week, where Shamrock, the cheaper fighter, closed the favorite, a lot higher owned, and El Sawadi got there at 67 on the main on the winner, which was crazy cards. So yeah, monitoring line movement, Casey now the favorite is my preferred play, but I'm a little worried ownership could get a little out of hand. Yeah, Shamrock was really bad. No doubt about that. All right, we'll keep it rolling. Next fight on the card, heavyweights, minus 140. Tyrell Fortune taking on Marcin Tybura, plus 120. Minus 325 for this fight to finish. Fortune plus 105 inside the distance. Tybura plus 185. Take it away. How do you see it?
Yeah, Tybura coming in at 40 years old off a knockout. I think it's his 6th time getting knocked out. And Fortune is he was a longtime Bellator fighter. I only watched his last 3 fights though, and I just wasn't impressed. I think it was his last 3 or 4. He ended up getting like heel hooked by somebody in one. That's not a good sign at heavyweight when it's not Walter Walker. And then he knocked out Tony Lopes. Tony Lopes could be our grandpa, dude. He's old as shit at this point. I was watching him when I was a kid. And then the last one he won was a striking match. Oh, he took somebody down 3 rounds before the Tony Lopes fight. He took him down for 3 rounds, looked okay, got double legs, really had no issue with that guy at all. Then Tony Lopes, and then he fought a dude who weighed in at 286 pounds. Dude was huge.
Wow.
And he didn't even look good against that guy, but he did win a clear decision. And so I just don't understand what it is that he's coming in here with to be the favorite over a longtime vet, like 23-fight UFC vet in Tybura, who has fought some of the best guys in the division. I think that this line should be flipped, and it's more so all the early win equity is going to be on the Fortune side. If he does win, it's got a good chance of being like a first-round knockout. And at $8,300, he's on the optimal lineup. But I think the longer this fight goes, the more it's going to play into Tybura's favor. Fortune may be a better overall offensive wrestler, but I think Tybura is the better grappler and the much more dangerous grappler in this one. And if Fortune's on his back, I think he could really struggle here. So my preferred play is Tybura, but this is closer to a 5-star than it is a 3-star, and I want to target this fight pretty heavily.
I definitely want to target this fight heavily. Like, again, Adesanya, Pyfer, 8,500, 7,700, right in that same range. I like this fight more. Any Israel Adesanya lineup, you can go to Fortune or Tybura, get an ownership discount, and hope Izzy wins a decision. So I'm definitely going to play this fight heavy. Minus 325 inside the distance, or to finish, is one of the better lines out there. And I agree with you. I was thinking the same thing. And the one thing that scared me, because I was on Tybura, more UFC experience. I think if it hits the ground, he's more likely to win. Any Fortune lineup you build, plug in Fortune, drop to Tybura, leave 400 plus. You're not giving up any upside really easy. So I am on that side. But the one concern was Tybura actually opened the favorite at minus 160, and the line is completely flipped with now Fortune at minus 140. So as you guys know, if you watch the show a lot, I'm big into line movement, into props, and following where the money goes. So that is a little concern for me. And the line has stood around the minus 140 mark. And you did mention the early win equity is on the Fortune side. Fortune plus 275 in round one, Tybura plus 500. So Tybura is my preferred play, but I just know I want a lot of this fight. At the end of the day, if I had 45% Fortune and 40% Tybura, like, I'm going to run it at the end of the day because I want a ton, 85%, 90% exposure to this fight. I'm in. Now, it's not a one I would lock just because we know heavyweights. Like, if Tybura can't take Fortune down and Fortune's worried that he's going to get taken down, or they want to trade jabs at distance and be cautious, heavyweight fights can bust all the time. We see it. So it's not an all-in fight for me, but it's a fight I want a lot of exposure to at minus 325 to finish. Under 1.5 is plus 105 as well. Open plus 161. So yeah, I like this fight more than the main event. It's going to be a little lower owned, and I hope it's optimal when it's all said and done. Next fight on the card, Chase Hooper taking on Lance Gibson Jr. Minus 270 Hooper, plus 230 Lance Gibson. Minus 160 for this fight to finish. Hooper plus 110 inside the distance. Gibson plus 375. On Monday, this was minus 240 Chase Hooper. Now it is minus 270 Chase Hooper. With that being said, he did open on March 16th at minus 350. So Hooper opened minus 350. Lance Gibson took money, got all the way down to minus 235, and then Hooper has got some buyback. Coming off a first-round knockout loss to Alexander Fernandes, while Lance Gibson did nothing against King Green. So both coming off losses. It's a grappler in Hooper versus a striker in Gibson is how I see it. And I always have interest in Chase Hooper when he's fighting, since he's put up some big boy scores thus far in the UFC. How do you see it?
Yeah, I like this fight because of Hooper's pace, because of his submission grappling. When Hooper wins, he scores, and he's going to come to fight at a high pace no matter what. He's going to be at a big striking disadvantage, but just his pace alone could possibly hang or beat Gibson with his pace. Gibson's going to be the better wrestler and the better striker, but he's not a high outrate or a high he's not a high-paced worker, I guess, in the cage. So I don't think he's the type that's going to get 5+ takedowns, and he's not going to land 120+ strikes. So it's more worried about testing Hooper's chin. Hooper's been knocked down a lot in the UFC. I mean, who knows how many times he's been knocked down in training too. So anybody playing Hooper is always live for not only a knockout, but a multiple knockdown score. So that is what puts Gibson in play for me, and he is the better wrestler, the better striker. If he can dictate where this fight takes place, he could definitely win the fight. He could look like the favorite here. But Hooper is going to have the higher work rate, and if he can get the fight to the ground, it won't be traditional wrestling, but if he grabs an ankle or just takes his back while he's standing, I think Gibson could be in a world of trouble because Hooper's one of the trickiest grapplers in the UFC, and I think he could tie him up and ground and pound him to a finish or submit him in multiple different ways. So I am going to be on the Hooper side of this one, but you can't fade a guy like Gibson going against Hooper. Usually, I think if Gibson's a 7,300 fighter, most matchups, I think you're fine to fade him, but not against a guy like Hooper who can't eat very many shots.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, too, it's plus. I don't know why I keep saying at the end of the day, but $7,300 fighter, he's plus 375 inside the distance, which is one of the best inside the distance props in the lower tier. I'm on the Chase Hooper side, though. He's gonna find a way to get the fight to the mat, I think, and when he does, even if he does get taken down, I don't think Lance Gibson's wrestling in this fight. I think it'd be a big mistake. But if this fight hits the mat in any which way, Hooper gets dropped, Gibson jumps on him. Imanari roll, heel hook, like grabbing a leg. Chase Hooper, probably more than likely how he gets it down, body lock to a trip or something like that. I do like Chase Hooper a lot more at 155 than I did 145. He's kind of filled out for his frame. You have to fight a perfect fight like Alexander Hernandez did. You really have to be cautious every single second of keeping distance, in and out with your strikes. Not saying Gibson can. It is the bigger cage, but I do think Chase Hooper finds a way to get it to the mat, and when he does, I mean, he styles on almost anyone with his grappling. And like you mentioned, for his scores in the UFC, that's what he's had in his wins. 112, 73, 142, 120, 94, 134, 113, and 104. I mean, that's every score but one of them you pretty much take this week. So, yeah, I'm definitely on the Chase Hooper side. One of my favorite plays in the upper tier. But yeah, you can't ignore Lance Gibson at plus 375 inside the distance against someone who's as poor of a striker as Chase Hooper is. It is improved. There's no doubt about that, but it's still not on the level of most lightweights. Next fight on the card, talk about a striker. We got some striking paradise in this one. Ignacio Bahamondes minus 300. Taking on Tofiq Musayev plus 250. Minus 200 for this fight to finish. Bahamondes minus 120 inside the distance. Musayev plus 415. Bahamondes in round one plus 300. So looking at this Monday, it was minus 190 to finish. Now it's minus 200. The money line has not changed at all. I'm kind of torn on what to do with Bahamondes. He's expected to finish this fight taking on just a striker, but Bahamondes is just a striker himself, and plus 300 inside the distance isn't great. Now, Bahamondes, do you think he wrestles in this one? It'd be the easiest path, and I think he is skilled enough that he can, and he has long enough limbs where he can wrap up a neck or do something. Musayev, when he loses, it's almost always by submission. I believe 4 of his 6 losses by sub. But that's not what Bahamondes is known for, even though I do think he has it. So, do you think he wrestles, or do you think they just bang it out on the feet?
No, I think Musayev is our more likely wrestler in this one. Both of them are primarily strikers. Musayev, more of a heavy hitter, puncher, though. He's not mixed in very many kicks, whereas Bahamondes is just a better fighter at range, and he mixes in a mixture of everything. I mean, a third of the time he's going to the legs, a third of the time he's going to the body, and a third of the time he's going to the head. And the longer the fight goes, I think it's just going to be kind of all Bahamondes. So all the late finish equity on the Bahamondes side. I don't know about more finish equity, early finish equity on the Musayev side, but I think if he's going to get a finish, it will be early in the fight. But Bahamondes could get it early as well. But from what I saw, I was most impressed with Musayev's ground and pound. Once they clinch up, he was a strong dude. He could just lift the guy up, throw him to the ground. And then once the guy was on his back, he was really aggressive with ground and pound. So that's what I would be more worried about in round one if I was on the Bahamondes side. I think Musayev does have early finish equity, whether it be on the feet or the ground with that ground and pound. But I don't really see Musayev winning minutes over the course of 3 rounds. And Bahamondes could win all 3 rounds, or he could finish in any round. So I have it as a 3-3 because Bahamondes is more of a wide range of scores. He could be a 70-point winner or a 110-point winner. But I think if Musayev wins, he is going to score well. I just don't like his chances of winning that much. I think the odds are about right.
I agree with everything you just said there. Bahamondes, wide range of outcomes. Even if he scores 100, though, at 9,200, it's not guaranteed to be optimal. Just a primary striker, plus 300 inside or plus 300 in round one. It's not great when you're comparing him to others. Like I do personally prefer Hooper, prefer McKinney, prefer Douglas, who are all cheaper. But I do think the ownership on Bahamondes does stay in check. And it's minus 200 to finish. She throws a lot of volume. You think Musayev's the more likely wrestler, though. That's interesting, and that makes me like him a little more at 7K. Now, the inside the distance prop for Musayev has gone the wrong way. Open plus 375, now plus 415. Whereas for Bahamondes, open minus 110, now minus 120. But we're talking about a $2,200 price difference. And I said I didn't like the 6K fighters. So that means Musayev naturally is the lowest fighter that I will be looking to play. So yeah, maybe at the end of the day, more than likely, I probably have more Musayev to the field than Bahamondes, but I'm not going to X out Bahamondes. Again, you can interchange a lot of these upper tier fighters. I do think if you're playing the main event, and then if you're playing the Fortune Tybura fight, maybe that's when you get different in the upper tier. If you're fading the main event, maybe that's when you eat more chalk in the upper tier. Is kind of how I'm going about it. Again, each lineup should tell a story, and then you group and you look at your ownerships and get your exposures that way. Is kind of what I try and do. So make sure your lineup makes sense with the contest you're playing, with the ownership, with the dupes, but also try and get exposure to the fighters that you do want to build a portfolio. And again, SaberSim makes that very easy to mess around with your min-max, dial in what you want, look at each lineup, check the ownership, the projection, all of that good stuff. And again, multiple packages we do have at shippination.com with our partner, SaberSim. Next fight on the card, I mean, this one, any Terrance McKinney fight, you're going to play in DFS. Minus 170, T-Rex, plus 145, Kyle Nelson. This fight is minus 1,400 to finish. Under 1.5, minus 250. Terrance McKinney, minus 160 inside the distance. Nelson, plus 160. McKinney, round 1, plus 110. Kyle Nelson, round 1, plus 400. It's that easy, man. It's Terrance McKinney. If you're not playing Terrance McKinney, you should be playing Kyle Nelson. If you're not playing either of them, I guess eat all the chalk after that. But yeah, I rarely make rules to have 100%. If I'm playing 20 or less, I probably am just making the rule and then figuring out the next 5 guys. 150, obviously, random stuff can happen in the sport of MMA, but the definition of all gas, no breaks is Terrance McKinney. Never been a decision, only been to 1/3 round, which is like his 3rd pro fight or something. Yeah, I mean, it's T-Rex. I'm on the T-Rex side over Kyle Nelson. I just think Nelson won't be able to weather the storm. McKinney can take him down and submit him. He can knock him out. He's just a bad, bad dude for the first couple minutes. So yeah, this fight is always fun, as every T-Rex fight is.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just going to be all in on this fight. I'm on the McKinney side. He's just going to be really hard to deal with in that first 3 minutes. He's going to be better than Nelson everywhere. He's going to be so much more dangerous than Nelson in that first 3 minutes. And then after that 3 minutes, Nelson is going to be better everywhere. And he's going to finish McKinney if it gets out of the first round. So all in on this fight. Even if Nelson does nothing in round 1, he's still going to put up a good score from whatever he does in round 2, and he's going to get a second round finish or a 3rd round finish as well. So yeah, I want to be all in on this fight. The only thing you're worried about, I think, you're not worried about a bad score if you're all in on this fight. You're worried about something happening backstage and they don't even make it out to the cage. But I'm going to probably be a 20 or less lineup this week, and I'm just going to make sure that all 20 have one of these guys' names. Preferred plays is McKinney. But if I end up with more Nelson than McKinney, I would be okay with that. But I doubt it'll be that way.
Yeah, no, I would be okay with it too. If it was like 60-40, you had Kyle Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we play a salary-based game. I mean, your cheeks are clenched for the first 3-4 minutes. There's no doubt about that. But you almost know when you're going to get the win. Like when McKinney starts falling apart, it's really, really apparent. Yeah, I'm not going to say he's a quitter because he's not necessarily a quitter, but it's almost like, all right, my gas is done. Let me go fight for the next. Let me save myself for the next fight. And he just kind of falls apart after that. But I love Terrance McKinney's fighting style. It's
never changed.
Never changes. Right. He tried to change once against Bomb Theme and just looked terrible. I mean, McKinney didn't do anything early, didn't do anything late, and Bomb Theme just walked him down. And I think McKinney was like, yeah, I'm never doing that again. So all gas, no breaks. Do not miss this fight. Must watch TV anytime Terrance McKinney is in the octagon. Next fight on the card, another mid-tier fight expected to finish. Mansur Abdul-Malik, minus 118, taking on Yusri Belgori, minus 102, minus 190 for this fight to finish. Mansur plus 140 inside the distance. Belgori plus 215. Round 1 props, Mansur plus 400, Belgori plus 525. So some line movement on this one, as you can see on the stone. Minus 160 for this fight to finish on Monday, now minus 190. So that's really good. Mansur open plus 170 to finish, now plus 140. Some other line movement. Round 1, both guys took some money. Mansur open plus 500 round 1, now plus 400. Belgori open plus 600 in round 1, now plus 525. All of that is music to my ears when I'm trying to get away from the main event as much as possible. I do think this is a fight you can go to, leave money off of Izzy, and you're really not giving up upside. To be honest, you might be gaining upside because both guys individually have better inside the distance props than Adesanya when it's all said and done. So, yeah, I'm a little nervous. Mansur has had some boring fights in the UFC and shown to be passive, but the under's taking money. So I'm just going to kind of hold my nose and hope it's a fun fight. How do you see it?
Yeah, this is my favorite stretch of fights. These 3 fights from McKinney to Douglas.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be really heavy on these. And I think I might have started with a 5-star on this one and then realized I like those other 2 just that much more. And I moved it down to a 4-star. But this is one of those fights where the winner probably looks like they should have been a big favorite. But we just don't know how the fight's going to go. Is Malik going to get the fight to the ground? I mean, he's an athletic freak. He's got a ton of strength and power. I think he could just pick this guy up, slam him, and then kind of do what he wants on the ground. But I don't know how long he can do that. And if he can't get takedowns, then Belgari's going to pick him apart on the feet. He's the better, longer kickboxer, and he can go a hard 15 minutes, and he's dangerous on the feet. So I think it could be one-way traffic if the takedowns aren't there for Malik. Malik would need to land a big shot in order he could win a striking match, but it would have to be a knockout. I don't think he could win minutes with Belgori, and I think the later the fight goes, all the finish equity on the feet anyways is on the Belgori side. But man, I think it could also get to the point where Belgori never gets to strike in this fight. Malik just goes out there, slams him, and then grabs the neck or ground and pounds him to a finish. So he is my preferred play. I think he could be special. I would like to see him improve as an MMA fighter in general, but he's got all the physical attributes to be really good one day. So I'm picking Malik to get the win.
I agree. I mean, he hasn't been great thus far in the UFC. He hasn't fought great competition. He opened minus 140, now minus 118. Some money going against him a little bit, but I'm just kind of buying in on the guy that looks like an athletic freak that can strike and wrestle, like you're saying, and just hope he figures it out. More so, though, I'm fine playing Malik and dropping down to Belgori. It's almost a pick-em fight. You're not giving up too much upside. So that's one way to get difference. I just want a good amount of this fight. This fight and the Fortune Tybura fight. I would love if both of them outscored Adesanya and Pyfer at the end of the day. I think they're going to be lower owned. All 3 are expected to finish, and people just naturally gravitate to the 5-round fights more so. So I would love an Izzy decision, and then Mansur and Fortune fight both finish. I think that is one way that dupes would be a little lower when it's all said and done. So, yeah, I'm going to play this fight. The under's taking money, which I love to see. Mansur my preferred play, but not too strong of a lean in terms of if I had more Belgori when it's all said and done. 200 less, it's easy to get different. Any Mansur lineup drop down to Belgori, and you're not giving up too much. But, yeah, I agree with you. McKinney, this fight, and then we're going to talk Douglas Erosa. I would love for at least 2 of these fights to be optimal. Let's get to an absolute banger. Leron Douglas. Oh, hold on. Let me go back. I don't know why I exit out. Leron Douglas minus 300 taking on Julian Erosa plus 250, minus 400 for this fight to finish. Minus 160 for Douglas inside the distance. Erosa plus 285. Douglas in round 1 open plus 175, now plus 155. I mean, Juicy J, Julian Erosa's he's not McKinney level in the sense of anytime you see the name, it's a all-in fight. But anytime I see Julian Erosa's name, I know he's a green overweight tag, and I know his opponent is as well because look at it, 6.21 significant strikes per minute, 1.78 takedowns. He definitely can be knocked out. He's going to push a pace. He's well-rounded. He'll always show up and fight, but his durability is very questionable, and that leaves openings for his opponents, and Douglas looks like he can crack. So I love both sides of this fight, and I want to be overweight. I totally agree with it being a 5-star fight.
Yep. It's Erosa's chin. That's the question here. I mean, he's been knocked out 7 times in his fights, in his professional fights. And Douglas looks like he's got that Topuria type punching power where Erosa's chin is not going to react well to getting hit by this guy. So it could only take a couple punches and this fight's over. I'd say Douglas has the best chance of winning in the first minute on the entire card, him or McKinney, in that first minute and getting the quick win bonus. But it is kind of like all knockout dependent for Douglas. I think he could win a striking match here, but it's going to be lower volume than what Erosa can throw out. Erosa is a good striker, and he throws really good volume on the feet. So I think if he survives the first round, I think the knockout might not be there, and it could just be Erosa outpacing him on the feet. And then Erosa is definitely going to be the better grappler in this one. So if he can land takedowns, he could look like a favorite in this fight. But he could also just never get that takedown. He could get knocked out really fast. That's what I'm picking to happen. I think Douglas does knock him out in round 1, and he's going to score well. But if he doesn't knock him out in round 1, I think Erosa wins this fight and scores well himself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the Erosa side for the sense of minus 300 feels steep with a guy making his UFC debut against someone as well-rounded as Julian Erosa. You talk about it a lot. Like, you don't love just banking on guys that need the knockout or the power. You usually say that at heavyweight, so it's not necessarily the exact same. But if we turn knockouts off in this fight, I mean, I think Julian Erosa is probably a favorite. At worst, probably a pick 'em. Like, he has the wrestling upside, the grappling upside. He can strike himself. Obviously, though, you can't turn knockouts off in a sport like UFC. He is 36 years old. The chin is very scary, but I mean, $1,800 cheaper, plus 250 dog. I'm not playing the 6K range. I don't love too many of the cheap 7K range. Julian Erosa is by far my favorite play when it comes all the way down to the lower tier. And if I had 35% or 40% when it's all said and done, I don't usually like making stands that big when you're that big of a dog, but I'm in for it. And worst case, if this fight, we saw Roman Dolidze on the optimal last week with 37 DK points. If no dog wins on this card, or very few, especially cheap, and this fight goes the distance, like I'd rather Erosa in a loss than Douglas in a win by decision. It's not even close. I think that means it'd be competitive, maybe a split decision. Douglas maybe knocked him down in one round or made it obvious that way, but Erosa wrestled some or was competitive with the striking, put up solid numbers. It's not crazy if Erosa does get there in a loss. I'm not expecting it, but I just think there's more ways if I have to pick. I think the line's a little wide. I need cheap dogs on this card, and Erosa at 7,200 makes a lot of sense to me, taking on someone making their UFC debut. So I like Douglas a lot just because Juicy J can give up or can get knocked down and knocked out very clearly. But at this price, yeah, I'm on the Erosa side, and I'm really pumped for this fight as I am almost every Julian Erosa fight. All right, 3 fights left. Michael Chiesa minus 600 taking on Nico Price plus 425, minus 250 for this fight to finish. Chiesa minus 170 inside the distance. Price plus 550. Chiesa round 1 plus 190. Yeah, I mean, Chiesa should take him down, dominate him on the mat, eventually sub him. But the real question for me, Thainara 9,600, Chiesa 9,500, Navajo Stirling 9,400. Like, how do you rank them? And to be honest, I don't think you need to play any of them because I do think the Douglas, the Hoopers, maybe Bahamondes, like I'm fine dropping any of those fighters to any of the fighters cheaper. But if you are having to rank it, how do you rank it? Because that's tough for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say they're all about the same. Where Thainara, I would give her the highest ceiling with her wrestling upside. I would say that Stirling scores over 100 more than Chiesa, but Chiesa's going to score 95 or so very often in this fight.
You don't want that,
whereas Stirling is like 70 to 110.
So
I don't know how you want to rank that, I guess.
I would go based on what you said, and this is how I have the rankings: Thainara, Stirling, Chiesa. And again, we're talking GPPs. We want winning scores. 95 every time. 95 is not going to cut it at 9,500. Your min cash value will get there. Thainara has 115 plus, we think, in the bag or in her range of outcomes. And yeah, I mean, Stirling, I don't even know how much 75 he has in his ups or in this fight because he's minus 275 to finish. So I do have Chiesa the lowest for sure. You could interchange Stirling, Thainara, I think, because, I mean, he's 200 cheaper. So you always have that out as well. But I agree. I do think Chiesa's, or I don't know if I agree, how I'm saying it, I do think Chiesa's the worst of the three. And I'll be underweight on him. But can Nico Price continue to get up is the real question. I'm not really sure he can.
No, I doubt he does. I think, I mean, this fight's in Seattle. That's Chiesa's hometown. I think it's his retirement fight as well. He just wants somebody he can go in there and finish and ride off into the sunset. And I think they picked the perfect person who will go in there and take his paycheck and his loss and probably ride into the sunset himself. So, yeah, give me Chiesa, one takedown, a back take shortly afterwards, and then a rear naked choke, and he scores 96 points. I'm going to have no price, and I don't want very much Chiesa either. But I think if that Thainara doesn't score well, Stirling doesn't score well, and 95 is enough, I feel confident that he's going to score right around 95 points, and he's going to win the fight. So however you want to look at it, I guess that way. If you like the sound of that, then he's a good play. But I'd search for more ceiling or cheaper guys who could outscore them.
Yeah, if I was told 95, I mean, I might have 0. Like, it's not impossible. 95's on the winner, but it's not only Thainara and Stirling. There's Fortune, there's Hooper, Bahamondes, McKinney, Douglas.
Yeah.
I mean, Izzy, like, I don't know. I guess I'm just banking on. But, yeah, it's not impossible. If a lot of dogs are barking on this card and the favorites that do win score less than 95, it's definitely possible. But more times than not, you don't sign up for 95 at 9,500 on a 13-fight card with 9 of the 13 fights expected to finish is how I'm seeing it. But not impossible. Definitely not impossible. We saw El Sawadi 67 and Roman Dolidze 37 or something like that on the optimal last week. So anything goes in MMA. It depends on what the other fights do to determine what the optimal is. All right, co-main event time, -185 Macy Barber, +160 Alexia Grasso, +290 for this fight to finish. Barber +325 inside the distance, Grasso +900. This is a rematch. So we've had 2 rematches on the card. The first one was Thainara Brasil. This fight was in 2021. And let's see. Macy lost 29-28 by unanimous decision. She went 3 for 5 on takedowns, but Barber got the win. But Grasso got the win, excuse me. I don't really know how I can get to Macy too much. I mean, so it's 2 times where Grasso won, Brazil won, but now Barber's the favorite and Thainara is the favorites. With that being said, $1,400 difference on a fight heavily favored to go the distance kind of leans me to Grasso side. But I do think there's a case you can make for Barber. I think there's multiple takedown upside in this one, and people aren't going to play her. McKinney's 100 less. The Douglas is 200 more. People aren't just going to want to click a +325 inside the distance. But do you see Barber wanting to wrestle a lot in this one? And then Grasso just feels like a floor play. Win, score 70, and maybe that's enough. But yeah, I don't love this fight, and you don't either, looks like, with a 2-star.
Nah, almost made it a 1-star because I'm not interested in it very much. I think it's more in play for the reasons you mentioned. Grasso 7,400. She could get another win again and score around 70, and you might be okay with that on this card. Barber's going to be unowned. She has the takedown upside. She also has if there's not a knockout, she has knockout upside as well. She is an aggressive striker at times. She's got power for women. I mean, I wouldn't count on that, but if you're trying to be different on a card and win 100K, then maybe you can go that route. But I just don't have any interest in this fight, and I'm hoping that Barber does win. She lands 3 or 4 takedowns, 60 strikes, and just doesn't get there. So that's what I'm banking on happening. I'm going to try to use none of this fight and make it a 1-star. But you can make cases for both sides. I'm just going to pick Barber to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, how many fights is she getting 5+ takedowns in this one? Like out of 10 fights, 2 of them?
Yeah, 1 or 2.
Because if it's 20%, I mean, at the end of the day, I do think she'll be under 20% owned. I do think she's going to come out and try and wrestle. She's a more physically strong girl, but man, you really need to get there at 8,800. So
she landed 3 takedowns in their last one. Let's give her the win. she would have only scored 68.8.
Yeah, that's why you need probably double that. And it's kind of hard for that to see. So yeah, the whole field, like I'm trying to make a case to play it because the field's not going to play it. But I don't even love Grasso though. It's more of like a fade, if anything, because I don't think Grasso wins. As you see, minus 160 Barber was on Monday, now minus 185. And even when Grasso wins, I do think she'll be on her back getting taken down some of it. So she spends 4 minutes on her back one round, outstrikes her the next 2 rounds. I mean, you could be looking at 60 in a win, 7,400. Not my favorite.
Kind of like has submission upside to hit like a real ceiling, but I don't know. That doesn't happen very often either, I don't think.
Yeah, she's plus 900 inside the distance, plus 1,200 by sub. So definitely a long shot. But yeah, I mean, she got Valentina. Anything's possible in this beautiful sport of MMA. All right, before we do go to the main events, again, just want to show one last time, if you do want to join us at the Nation, NBA, PGA, MLB, MMA, NASCAR, and NHL all going on. 6 sports and March Madness. If you do get in the Discord, you can talk some March Madness in our Discord, but you can get in as low as $9 for the day, get you Saber Sim, but no Discord. I think the better deal, 5 days for $19. So you can try all of these sports. You get Discord, you get Saber Sim. Again, you can build all of these sports with Saber Sim, 150 lineups and late swap. Definitely check us out if you haven't already. If you're just here for MMA content, you can get in as low as $17 for the month. If you do the annual, again, MMA is a yearly sport. We would love to have you get in the Discord for the MMA streets. A lot of people are sweating it out, tilting, having fun, cheering. All the emotions go on Saturday. So we would love to have you. If you want Saber Sim, you can see that as well. Main event time. Israel Adesanya, minus 150, taking on Joe Pyfer, plus 130, minus 175 for this fight to finish. The underdog in Pyfer, plus 130 inside the distance. Israel Adesanya, plus 250. How did the line go in this one? Izzy, open minus 110. Same day, got down to plus 112. And then days later, minus 105, then minus 110, 115, 130. Money just kept trickling in on the Adesanya side. And it makes sense. I mean, man, Izzy is 36 years old. His chin has been cracked a little bit. Pyfer hits hard. I don't think Pyfer can wrestle for 25 minutes. I don't think he has the cardio to do so. Pyfer can land the big shot, but it's hard to see him being the minute winner against someone as technical as Izzy. It's the big cage, which I think favors Izzy. And Izzy, I mean, Pyfer seems to have a chin, and Izzy's not known for his one-shot power. So I just think this fight gets over-owned. Izzy wins a decision, and if he wins a decision, he just doesn't score more than 100. He's only scored more than 100 2 times. One of them was against Paulo Costa. He got a finish in that one, just absolutely dominated in 2020. And the other one was against Kelvin Gastelum, which was a decision, but that was a 4 knockdown war in 2019 against Gastelum. We haven't seen Izzy in a fight like that since. So I think Izzy wins by decision, scores less than 95. Maybe less than 90. And if that's the case, this fight busts at ownership. That's 80% of the field or something like that gone. I'm not going to fade it. Again, Pyfer plus 130 inside the distance. I just think he's over-owned. And I guess how many decision wins from Izzy get to the optimal? I'm not really sure. So, yeah, you have it a 3-star. It seems like you see it pretty similar. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I see the exact same. I am picking Izzy to win a decision. I just think he is the better striker, the more technical striker, and he can also be higher paced over the course of 25 minutes. Pyfer has a high ceiling with knockout potential. He is also our wrestler. I think he will get a couple of takedowns, but I don't think he can land 25 minutes worth of takedowns or control time. And I think if he wrestles early, he suffers late because of that early wrestling. So, yeah, I'm hoping Izzy wins a decision, doesn't score enough, and it's over-owned. I'm okay with either side, but my goal will be to get away from this fight, and I'm going to really target, especially those 3 fights that I mentioned in that one range. But there's other fights that we can get away from. I mean, that we can target instead at lower ownership to get away from this fight. But, yeah, give me Izzy. I think he would be the preferred betting side as well.
Do you think you'll have more Izzy or Pyfer when it's all said and done for DFS?
The one lineup I was messing around with, Pyfer would have fit it more easily. So I guess Pyfer.
Yeah, and I wonder if Pyfer does come in higher on when it's all said and done, just because close line, $800 difference. People are going to look at the inside the distance props, and the lower tier isn't too appealing. Where if you want to plug in McKinney and you want to plug in, I don't know, Douglas or Hooper or whatever it may be, like you need dogs, and Pyfer just fits so well. I think Pyfer, I think Casey O'Neill, Tybura, they all, Kyle Nelson when you're not playing McKinney, all fit really well. So yeah, I think probably more than likely Pyfer will be more popular. Izzy would be my preferred play for that reason. It's just, man, like when Pyfer wins, he's so much more likely to be optimal than Izzy. So I'm just hoping Izzy wins a decision. I don't think he's washed quite yet. And again, minus 130 on Monday, now minus 150. So I do like to see money coming in on him. That's all 13 fights. Again, 9 of the 13 expected to finish. Washington. So we got a live crowd. We got a big cage. All of our content will be up on Friday, like always. Projections, ownership. Let me go to the MMA. Slate plan, tier rankings, fight rankings. Big Marley and I did do an education for MMA, so I would definitely check that out if you have not already. Took a lot of questions from the listeners. Questioners, wow, hard to speak. Questions from the listeners. Broke down cash games, tournaments, large field, hand build versus optimizer, all of that good stuff. But yeah, this will all be color coded and filled in on Friday. All of the content will be up. Usually I do a line movement update on Saturday in the Discord. Tell people out as well. And if anything changes, we always are tagging and updating. Again, can get in as low as $17 a month if you do just want MMA as a single sport. Otherwise, 5 days for $19. I'd check that out since MLB is coming up. Tonight, showdown tomorrow, a big slate. And yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We were doing live free shows, like you guys know, for a lot of the sports. PGA, MLB, NBA, MMA, NASCAR quick hits, you name it, we got it. Always good talking fights with you, Big Marley. Any final thoughts before we get on out of here?
Nah, man, that's it for me. Hopefully it's a good card. Hopefully it's a profitable card, but good luck to you, Title. Good luck to everybody listening. Let's ship it.
Let's ship it. And then next week as well, for scheduling note, we will be doing this show on Wednesday, more than likely as well. Not exactly sure the time, but yeah, again, it's nice. MMA, you know the fights that are going to be on until maybe on Friday, maybe Saturday, maybe after lock, but fingers crossed we haven't had one of those in a little while. But appreciate all the support. Hit the like, hit the subscribe on the way out. We will see you in the Discord. For Big Marley, I'm Title Town. Be safe. Good luck. Peace.